forget. Basically doing a Madara. He basically done a Madara and Guy. And I put it on TikTok as well. They done a Madara and Guy. And I'll put on there exactly what I mean when he goes, you almost killed me, you bastard. But then he sends out the last orb to try and kill Guy, and it would have killed Guy if Naruto didn't get there. In this case, Naruto didn't get there, and the last dismantle killed Gojo. It's ridiculous. Yo, my people, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Before we get into it, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe down below, and that goes already. Today, guys, I've got a bit of a different one for you. I saw the spoilers, and I had to get onto it. I had to talk about it ASAP. If you guys didn't know, I've been following JJK manga since the Shibuya arc, but I really started to pay attention in the Culling games because I knew obviously this one was a bit funny. You kind of have to pay attention to it. There's a lot of talking, kind of like Hunter x Hunter. There's a lot of talking in the Culling games. You kind of have to read it and pay attention, otherwise you won't know what's going on. Here we have today, guys, is chapter 236 leaks, spoilers. If you guys don't know already, this is for the spoiler people. Spoiler alert! I should let you know this now. I'm going to be dropping some major bombs and I'm going to be getting mad. Alright, cool. Let's begin. So, Gojo loses. Gojo Sukuna, the fight comes to its climax and Gojo loses. And I'm not happy with how they've done this at all. So, let's just go through the leaks first. So, the leaks start off with Gojo, obviously in the afterlife, doing the on death's door talk. Obviously it's not out yet, so the translation is up here. But it's basically about them talking about how their final moments were. Gojo mentioning some like off-brand comments about his father and Shoki, obviously his old teammate that who I can't remember if she died or if she just left. I can't remember really what happened to her. She's kind of up in the air, like kind of like with what Nobara is, even though we get some hints that she's not dead in this leak, because obviously Gojo is not saying goodbye to her, but he's saying goodbye to all his old friend group essentially. Haibara is there with Hinami, who obviously gets written off in the Shibuya arc. So here's a bit that I wanted to pick up on that I didn't really like. Geto is asking Gojo about how he felt fighting the King of Curses. This is around this area here on the page. He's asking about how, like probably around here actually, he's asking about how he found fighting the King of Curses and so on and so forth. And Gojo makes a stupid off-brand comment saying stuff like, I'm not sure if I could have beat him even if he didn't have Maharaga or he didn't have Megumi's techniques. He wasn't even going all out. And immediately I think to myself, these panels right here, that if he didn't have Maharaga here, Sukuna would have died. That'd have been, right here is the end of the fight without Maharaga. Right here is yet again the end of the fight without Maharaga. I don't understand why Gojo's making these silly like off-brand. I now suddenly want to be a bit modest in my abilities. These off-brand comments about I'm not sure I could have won, where it was him versus 3. He whittled it down to him. He whittled it down to 1 versus 1 again twice. There's more talk about how well, this is what I believe first and foremost. I don't believe Gojo is dead. I do believe that he's gonna have like a second revival, kind of what like happened against Toji, and there's even Toji callbacks throughout this fight, as in to show that Gojo is, I hope to show that Gojo is still slowly and surely leveling up, obviously in his character development and in his strength, to obviously be able to take on Sukuna. I just don't like those off-brand comments about, oh, Sukuna wasn't giving his all. Dude had like the majority of his body blown off many different occasions. Like the guy's face is not one of a assured victory, it's literally one of I'm not sure what's gonna happen next. I hope I don't get blammed. And he gets blammed. He gets blammed continuously. This is not him taking damage for fun. I assure you this. Like, it's just not. This is not Sukuna having fun. I like to get hurt. It's just not. This is, he's getting checkmated at every single point, and he has to come up with a new dice, a new roll of dice, essentially, to get his chance. It's silly. I don't like it. I don't like it. Gojo checkmates him on. Look at this. This is even hand-to-hand combat, taijutsu, checkmating. And you're telling me that you didn't feel like he was trying his hardest, or that you felt like you wouldn't have been able to beat him even without Megumi's body. I don't believe that. I don't like that at all. That's either a nerf of Infinity or a retcon of the character of Gojo. And there's another thing I want to touch on. I want to touch on how it even all came to be the fact that Maharaga was able to penetrate infinity, and now Sukuna is able to do the same. Like, look here, this is ridiculous, bro. There is a key. I feel like we're missing a chapter. We're missing a whole chapter in which it would explain how this happened. Just after the point, Sukuna reveals himself all battered and bruised after the fight. It's just nothing is being explained here. I don't like it. I'm gonna lie though, this panel real hard, because I know these two, if they come as a duo to fight Sukuna right now, which is what I'm saying, everyone needs to get out there and be jumping the boy right now. They should even be standing there. I should be seeing flash step-esque techniques to the battlefield immediately. Telling me about this is obviously these panels right here are Sukuna explaining how. So Sukuna tries to explain how Maharaga essentially taught him, or quote unquote was a role model for him to figure out how to penetrate infinity. And here's how I saw someone on Twitter explain it, and I'm going to try to explain it to you in the best of my abilities, because one, it doesn't really make sense, but two, it kind of nerfs infinity, and three, it's like a cop-out. It's like how has nobody discovered this before? Do you know what I mean? So this is how I saw someone on Twitter explain how because this is dismantle, by the way, that Sukuna was able to use this mantle on GOJO and actually hit him this time. So he explains that Maharaga, after a while, like after getting hit by a technique, you can imagine in your head a slow bar, a slow gauge fills up, but the more you hit him with that technique, that gauge will fill up more faster and faster and faster. So the first adaptation is not getting killed by the technique. You can take the technique, but the second adaptation, which is when the bar is full, is essentially you understanding now how to counter that technique. So Maharaga, obviously it can't speak. It has discovered, and it is throughout the fight trying to show Sukuna how to penetrate infinity. Obviously the first instance is when GOJO gets his arm cut off. That's when Maharaga is trying to show Sukuna, like, yeah, like this is how we get past it. So the guy on Twitter basically explains that Maharaga basically showed Sukuna that if you cut the space that GOJO envelops, rather than trying to attack GOJO himself, the attack will hit. That doesn't make any sense to me. Now that makes absolutely zero sense to me. If you cut the space that GOJO envelops, you can cut GOJO, but if you actually go to trying to attack him, you will run into infinity. It's basically saying, like, attack to bypass infinity. Attack the space, don't attack him. And if as I'm explaining it to you now, it makes no sense. Trust me, it makes no sense to me either. If you guys know how to explain it further to me, please do it in the comment section down below. I will be reading it to really try to understand what's going on here, because it just seems like we just got violated. Like, I don't like this. This don't make no sense. First and foremost, when the chapter ended off with GOJO in the sky, it was clear, like GOJO was above. He was floating in the air, and Sukuna was next to a wall. Look at him talking about stuff like he would never forget. Basically doing a Madara. He basically done a Madara and Guy, and I put it on TikTok as well. He done a Madara and Guy, and I'll put on there exactly what I mean when he goes, "You almost killed me, you bastard." But then he sends out the last orb to try and kill Guy, and it would have killed Guy if Naruto didn't get there. In this case, Naruto didn't get there, and the last dismantle killed GOJO. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And he crowned him obviously one of the strongest. And obviously my boy Kashima comes in, but you know he ain't doing shit, because Sukuna's a main character. This guy is just a reincarnation. It's like, I'm salty. I'm salty because if GOJO had won that, and previously to this, there was a leak, or like a funny leak, or like a false leak of Kenjaku absorbing the spirit of Sukuna after he had been weakened enough, and that's what he was waiting for all that time. If they had done that, that would have made so much more sense, considering that Kenjaku and GOJO still have unfinished business with the body of Geto, and GOJO still have unfinished business. GOJO technically needs to avenge, obviously, his friend's body's death, so however you wanna, unpack that. And now suddenly, GOJO's dead. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Gege, fix it immediately, because what you're doing here is a travesty. Listen, at least make it so my boy revives later on down the line, so the other captains can fight Sukuna. But right now, them man need to be jumping him ASAP. Like, this is your boy, the strongest of the strongest. You need to be jumping this boy ASAP. There needs to be like there needs to be like 50 man here, 50 man deep to come and try and attack and come and take this man on. Look at him. You know, he's not here for. Listen, Kashimo, take care of the boy. Listen, someone please explain to me down below how that last man managed to hit Gojo when he was still recovering using a reverse curse technique. Obviously, I'm seeing stuff like he's not dead yet because they specifically mentioned, or Gojo specifically mentioned, the only way to really finish him off is to cut off their head. You know, Thanos, you should have gone for their head, and obviously Sukuna hasn't done this. There's also what else is there? Those lilies that are growing around Gojo. Obviously, a lot of people are digging deep into the signification of the lilies, and they're believing that that means rebirth. That's not going to happen within the next 2 chapters. I can tell you this right now. I think Gege wants to solidify us not relying on Gojo to finish off all the villains. I don't think Gojo will die. I don't think he's going to be dead. I think he's going to come back. Like, maybe he might come back on some godly tip. I don't know, you know how they come back already. They come back on some reborn, rebirth, Zenkai boost type ish. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think down below. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and that goes already. Oh, I'm stressed out, man.